Hey everyone, welcome back to D Squared Stories, an audio fiction podcast bringing you short serialized weekly stories. We are moving on to Chapter 2 of Fun Facts and Psychic Possession Attacks today. So without any further ado, let's get into a quick recap and then get started. Last time, I had to go to a different Goose Mart to get a chicken salad hoagie for dinner, and wound up watching a guy named Ralph put his ex-girlfriend cashier Sasha at gunpoint. To de-escalate the situation, I was forced to use my Psychic Possession Attack, a move I can use to take over someone's mind so long as I know their face and location. Later, I found out Ralph followed a big alpha male streamer who goes by Wide Colin. I possessed him too and embarrassed him, giving him a major hangover. However, just a week later, Colin announced he would be revealing the name of the person who took control of him on stream. I possessed him again as he went live, only to find that this was a trap laid by his moderator, someone called Tango Foxtrot, who claimed to have the same powers that I do. Chapter 2. A bathroom break goes terribly wrong, and I confront my rival. I stared at the chat messages as they continued to pour in. These half-wit man-children continued patting each other on the back about just how much they got me. I read over the messages from Tango Foxtrot again, homing in on this one particular message. You control people by inserting your thumbs into your ears. You need to know their location. You need to know what their face looks like. You revert back to your own body by inserting their thumbs into their ears. If this person did have the same powers that I did, why would they expose themselves? And why would they conveniently leave out the fact that passing out causes you to go back to your own body as well? Were they really just lying completely dormant waiting for someone like me to pick on a scummy alpha male influencer? No, something about this was wrong. I got over the initial shock of being outplayed. Ha 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 ha. I laughed as Colin using his fake deep voice. So, Tango Foxtrot, turns out I'm not the only ones with these powers, huh? Well, it looks like for now, I'll have to concede defeat. The followers of Wide Colin were too smart for me, thanks to their brave leader only surrounding himself with smart and tough supporters. Tango Foxtrot responded. Knock it off. I know what you're doing. What I'm doing is calling it for now. My takeovers of Colin these 2 times were fun, but they'll never happen again. But rest assured, no one should come and find me. I'll be going under the radar for some time now. In full view of the camera, I inserted my thumbs into my ears and actually released my possession over Colin. On the fly, I had to come up with damage control, and the best I could do was to make it seem like Colin had staged this entire incident as a way to save face for his blunder. Seeing as TF was annoyed about it, I think it must have gone over well. My primary mission was still to keep my powers secret from the public at large. I stroked my chin as I thought through my next plan. I had to take TF out of the game. I could deal with all of Colin's hundreds of meathead drones, but one smart person had the potential to be a real thorn in my side if left unattended. Tango Foxtrot, TF, and Phonetic Alphabet. This seemed to imply he had some sort of military experience. That would explain how he managed to pick up my scent despite me being careful and following my rules, but it would also be a good means of misdirection. I sipped the dregs of my coffee. It was cold and bitter now, with a bit of grounds in it. I had to come up with a game plan. I started by making a Chaos account. Chaos being a kind of messaging calling software that was commonly used by gamers and streamers. I got on Wide Colin's Chaos server right away. The timing would make it look suspicious if I said anything, but my plan was to lurk for now. The number of members was rising quickly, so my entrance would be covered by a surge of new members following that stunt of a stream. There were several mods on Colin's servers, many of them streamers themselves. Tango Foxtrot was the newest among them, presumably modded as a part of this campaign to catch me. A few of them stuck out as interesting to me. There was Wolf Missile, a longtime friend of Colin's, not a streamer but featured in many of Colin's podcast episodes. The next one that caught my eye was Alpha Omega, an odd one out. He was a born-again Christian and divorcee who uploaded peculiar interpretations of the Bible with regards to gender roles. The last one was Tommy Fracasso, a gaming streamer known for his temper on camera. Probably the most pathetic seeming of Colin's lot, which was saying something. Tommy Fracasso, TF, seemed too convenient to be a coincidence, though I highly doubt this person who had been so thorough in rooting me out would make that sort of slip-up. Nonetheless, I was not able to see how pursuing him could really expose anything about me. Beyond that, he was streaming right now. I reset my VPN and opened a new tab to view his stream. He was streaming Work Night, a battle royale game where you created desks and other furniture to keep your opponents from shooting you. I never played it. For some reason, I see the mascot from Goose Mart was now in it as a playable character. I pulled up some info on my phone as I watched him stream on my computer. He was not as vain as Wide Colin, and did not have any house tours to make my life easy. However, I had a few tricks up my sleeve. "Yeah, I was just watching that on my phone trip, dog," Tommy said. "Colin totally busted that bait it showed." Sounds like a classy dude. I joined in the chat. "Hey, Tommy, newer viewer. Are you worried at all that the mind controller is going to come after you since you're friends with Colin?" I asked. "Nah, Gmart Lover 420, he needs to know where you live. I never posted the inside of my place like Colin did." Fun fact number 10. Knowing someone's location with regards to a psychic possession attack only means I need to know where they are in reference to a location I already know. For example, if I see someone through a window, I can take control of them even though I might not know what the room looks like. Sick, dude. Plus, living in the city you're from, it's such a big place he'll never narrow you down. You ever go see the Chickpea? It was called Stormgate per the creator, but I might as well just announce I was a cop if I said that. Yeah, no, I actually pass it a lot. I live a block south. It's kind of boring as hell, though. I wish I lived closer to the frog hole. I saw a few viral clips about that recently. I think people even got married near it. What an insane thing to do. Wait, hold on, focus. He just gave me more than what I needed. Block south of Stormgate, in an apartment complex, presumably. A quick look at internet maps landed me in the right spot. Now all I needed was an apartment number. I did some more digging into him onto my phone, occasionally popping a message or two in the chat to not seem like a weirdo. I was not able to pull up any info that directly led me to it, but I found something else. Apparently Tommy had a girlfriend, Marge. This seemed to be kept somewhat secret. Not sure why that would be. She looked kind of pretty. A look at her socials and I found some short-form videos. I quickly perused them. There was one that caught my eye. "Today we're going to be doing the dress like a dude in front of your boyfriend challenge," she said. She stood outside an apartment in a football jersey and baseball cap. These viral challenges were getting dumber by the day. Whatever happened to just swallowing a spoonful of cinnamon or dumping ice water on yourself? Old man yelling at the sky aside, I saw 414, but more importantly, I actually watched the video all the way through despite my brain cells imploding. I watched as she went through a common area and opened a door to a bedroom where Tommy was gaming. Well, game set, Mr. Fracasso. I put my thumbs into my ears and did my thing. I came through on the other end in control of Tommy and seeing the world through his eyes. Right as I did that, I saw my Goosmart mascot character get shot, and I got a message that I was number 10. I got right into character and slammed my fist on the desk. "That was horse crap," I shouted as Tommy. "Y'all are distracting me, and these guys are hacking. I'm done for today." I turned off the stream and quit the game, letting out a sigh of relief that I had such a seamless transition. I pulled up Tommy's Chaos account. I saw that he was in a private channel called Investigation. I pulled it up. In the most recent messages, it was mostly just self-congratulatory stuff at this point, mostly towards Tango Foxtrot. I scrolled up further. To my surprise, TF was a late add to this channel. Colin prefaced his entrance with the following. "Gang, Wolf Missile's been in contact with this guy and he's legit. Former special agent who wants in on this case and to try to catch this paranormal freak. He already told us some intel that no one else has access to, which is how I woke up with my thumbs in my ears. There's either more than one of these guys, or he's a really prolific troublemaker." Former special agent, huh? Sorry, TF, you seem bright, but only bright enough to trick the manosphere into thinking you are a Fed, not bright enough to actually be one. Alpha Omega seemed not to be on board. He protested that TF might have been the culprit himself. It was not a bad point, one they seemed to ignore for the time being and would certainly be ignored after the events of today. I was interrupted from my espionage by a knock on the door, followed by its opening. "Hey, honey, are you still streaming?" Marge asked. She stepped in, looking timid. Sheesh, I knew these guys were scum, but was she this scared of him? What did he do to her? "Nah, signed out. What's up?" I asked. Off camera, I had no idea what Tommy was like, so I kept my response as generic as possible. I watched as she stepped closer. She smiled now, but seemed to be hiding something behind her back. "That's good, baby," she said. "I heard you yelling. I hoped I might be able to cheer my boy up with the usual." I tried to mask my immediate confusion with a more normal reaction. But are you for real? This little man-child throws tantrums and insults women online and still manages to find someone, a pretty someone at that, who loves him? That was my first thought. However, then Marge pulled out what she was hiding behind her back. "Oh, I see someone's eyes looking at it like it's the first time." She chuckled. I will not say in detail what she revealed. However, I will say I guess she chose at some point not to go by Peggy because she thought that might be a bit too on the nose. I needed an evacuation from this situation pronto. However, I was not willing to give up this rare opportunity. I put my thumbs into my ears and tried something I had never tried before. Fun fact number 11. While in possession of another body, I can perform a psychic possession attack on someone else, so long as all the regular requirements of a psychic possession attack are met. With this newfound ability in my repertoire, I took control of Marge's body. The days lasted for long enough for Tommy to start to come back to as well. I ran over to him, dropping the item that I will not speak of, and I lightly grabbed his shoulder. "Baby, are you okay?" I asked him. "Yeah, I think so. What happened?" he asked. He noticed his thumbs were still in his ears. I think I still had a way to play this to my advantage. "I heard you yell and I came in to check on you. Then you panicked and put your thumbs in your ears," I said. Could this be the mind controller?" His eyes widened. He pulled his thumbs from his ears and looked at his hands. He swiveled his chair back around and looked at his screen. He saw his stream was turned off and the conversations on Chaos had been brought up to read. "Babe, I think you're right," he said. He put his hand on my chin and pulled me in for a kiss. Faking a smile afterwards was difficult, as his breath smelled of potato chips and energy drinks. He turned back to the computer and started clacking away. "I don't think he had the chance to get to anything important," he said. "I'm going to call the gang and let them know." I inched towards him. "Is it okay if I stay?" He bit his lip a little. He looked very unsure about this request. Yeah, sure, babe. I'm just going to pretend it's just me, though. You know how the guys are." I nodded. Yes, oh heaven forbid the fellas ever be in the presence of a female. I'm sure that would absolutely kill them. When I get TF out of the way, I'm going to harass these guys senseless for weeks to come with my powers. It is the least I can do after all the headaches they caused me. I watched as Tommy joined the voice chat. Wolf, Missile, and Alpha Omega were already online. "Guys, it happened," he said. "The mind controller came after me." "For real?" Missile asked. "I'll message Foxtrot. Get him on the line." "Why do we have to involve him in everything?" Omega asked. "Stupid question, moron. He's the only reason we've gotten this far," Missile shot back. "We could have done this on our own. I just don't see..." TF joined the call. "Tommy, is it true that the mind controller tried to take control of you?" he asked, wasting no time. He used a voice modifier to mask his voice. This guy was really willing to take no risks. It seems even with his allies, he was unwilling to give them any information to let them identify him. "He did," Tommy said. "My girl walked in on it during it, and he panicked and left my body." There was a silence on the call. "Tommy, please give us your authentication code," TF asked. I saw a sticky note stuck to his desk. It read in all capital letters, "Sensei." That was just like the authentication code they used with Colin. What an idiot. He left it right in plain view. I really wish Marge had never walked in on me. "Combatente," Tommy said. I stared at Tommy, confused by this, but he did not notice. After a few seconds, TF responded. "So it is you, Tommy," he said. "That's a shame to some extent. I was hoping the trap we set for the mind controller would work and we could pick his brain a bit." He set all this up? He knew I would immediately try to possess someone in Colin's circle right after this? It was no bad run of luck that Marge interrupted me. With that bout of naughtiness, she let me dodge a bullet. This guy. TF. He was no joke. I was taking this whole situation too recklessly. "Tommy, I hope this is a stupid question, but are you alone right now?" he asked. Tommy looked at me nervously. I shrugged Marge's shoulders. "Yeah, of course," he lied. "Okay, cool. Just double-checking," TF said. "You guys can tell Colin I'm following up on a lead." "What lead is that?" Omega asked. "A convict. Says he was possessed even prior to Colin, and has some signs of having claimed it even prior to the details being released," he said. "He even claims that it happened in a location where there should be security footage." Damn it. He knows about Ralph already. My time was limited, but in the passing of time since I first worried about Ralph's story making it to them, I had come up with a way to counter it. They talked a little bit more, but TF gave no details about Ralph. Still being cautious, I suppose. I waited until the moment they hung up the call. I made a face as Marge that made it look like something distressing had suddenly come up, and I started to run into the living room. "Marge, what's wrong?" Tommy called. As I got into the living room, I looked at the couch. I stepped back and got a running start before whispering to myself. "Sorry, Marge, you seem like a nice person, but I gotta do this." I ran towards the couch and lunged over it as if I was tripping over it. I stuck my thumbs in my ears in the process. My mind was teleported back into my body. By the time Tommy got into the room, the fall would dislodge Marge's thumbs from her ears and give her a valid excuse for not being able to remember the events of the last 15 minutes. I stood up from the couch and stretched out, my body feeling stiff from being sat like that all that time I had been possessing others. TF had been ready to counter my offense, so now it was time to play some defense. I grabbed my jacket and I started walking out the door. It was time for Operation Lunchtime. For the most part, all Goose Smarts are laid out in the same formula. There's the entrance, which is right at the register counters. The snacks and grab-and-go stuff is in the middle. Then the frozen and refrigerated items are along one wall. Along the other wall are soda and coffee machines. Towards the back is the land of magic, the sandwich and specialty drink counter. The world's most delicious fast food sandwich gets made in that spot. And right behind it is the manager's office, usually adorned with a photo of the manager right by the door. A normal person stood no chance of breaching the defenses of the highly dedicated and possibly minimum wage Goose Smart staff. Fortunately for me, I was no ordinary person. I strutted into the Goose Smart of my biggest error yet. I walked right up to the kiosk to order a sandwich. I got the tuna hoagie with sweet peppers, spinach, and avocado, just in case anyone cares to know. As I ordered, I glanced at the office door. Maggie, an older woman, probably around my mom's age, was the manager of this location. I clocked that info, made a note of what she looked like. Then I stepped forward towards the counter to pay. I did not see Maggie anywhere in the room. This could prove problematic, or I could be lucking out big time. I was about to find out. I brought my slip to the first cashier available and looked up at a familiar face. It was Sasha, the cute cashier that Ralph had threatened. She was just coming back from the restroom as I went up to the counter. There was a look of recognition in her eyes as I handed over my slip and she rung it up. "Oh, hey," she said. "You were here the other week, right?" "Yeah, hard to forget something like that. Are you all right?" I asked. She smiled. "I'm good. I'm glad your face isn't looking busted up anymore. I never got to thank you for trying to stand up for me." Why am I so absolutely and pathetically weak for a cute smile? Stay focused, Eric. Operation Lunchtime cannot take a detour to flirt right now. It was nothing. I didn't really help after all, I said. "Hey, by the way, is Maggie here? I didn't know this last time, but apparently she and my mom are good friends." Sasha tilted her head, a bit curious. "She's in her office. I think she's on a call, but I can ring her to come out for you." "Oh, that's not necessary," I said. "I was just going to say hi if she was free." I finished paying and turned back to wait for my sandwich. "Well, nice seeing you again, darling." I waved, trying to be cool but again melting down on the inside. I stood and waited for my sandwich. They looked understaffed compared to usual, so it was going to take closer to 7 minutes rather than 5. This was fine. The timing of this piece of the operation was not super important. That is at least what I thought, until around minute 6, Maggie emerged from the office. "That old coot in corporate called me while he was driving. I think he's going through a tunnel," she said. I nervously eyed back at Sasha. There were no customers, and she seemed to take note of the fact that Maggie was here. This was bad. I could not let her get suspicious of me. If TF investigated here, even if my plan was a success, he could still narrow me down. I had no choice but to launch an impromptu sub-operation. Sub-operation the heart wants. I walked back over to Sasha. She smiled at me again. "Hey, Maggie's out if you want to say hi," she said. "Yeah, I saw." I paused, deliberately being awkward. "I'm so sorry, you're going to think I'm so weird, but I panicked and made that up." She tilted her head again, confused. "Why would you make something like that up?" she asked. I sighed. "Here goes. I actually came here to see if I could get your number, but chickened out," I said. "I know it's not necessarily cool to approach women at their jobs like that, but you should know it's absolutely no pressure. I just thought you had a pretty smile and I wanted to get to know you better." I felt absolutely terrible saying every bit of that. But then, to my absolute surprise, Sasha blushed a little and looked almost giddy. She brushed her hair out of her face with her hand. "No, that's thoughtful of you," she said. "Here, give me your phone and I'll put my number in." What? I handed her my phone as coolly as I could, trying to not indicate how much my heart was going to burst out of my chest. I had no intention of this piece succeeding. I just needed to deflect. She handed me back my phone. I gave her a smile and started to turn back as they called out my order number. "Cool," I said. "I'll text you tonight. Sayonara?" She giggled, I think partially at how hard I was trying to be chill. "Sounds good. Text you tonight. Ciao." I turned around, grabbed my tuna hoagie, and exited the store with confidence I had never felt in my entire life. However, I could not let this distract me. Operation Lunchtime was still underway and was critical to stopping TF from exposing me and preventing me from living a long, happy life with Sasha. 2 blocks down the street from this Goose Mart was a cafe called Tonic. It was one of the more specialty coffee shops in the area. This location was critical on account of the fact that it had specialty coffee and 2 restrooms, both essential to the mission. I slid my sandwich into my cinch sack and walked through the doors. The line was 3 people long. This did not matter. What did concern me was both restrooms were occupied. I had time, though, and no one seemed to be waiting for them. I made it into the front of the line. Restrooms unfortunately still occupied. I ordered specifically a Colombian pour-over coffee to go. This was not just a part of my usual insistence on getting detailed with you about what I ordered. A pour-over coffee would take around 5 minutes to prepare. I knew this because they would tell me every time. In fact, they were about to tell me right now. "Hey, this will take around 5 minutes to prepare. Is that all right?" the barista asked. "Yes," I said. Who on this good green earth knows how to specifically order a pour-over coffee and does not know that it takes time to make is beyond me. He gave me my receipt, and to my luck, someone emerged from the restroom. I made my way into the restroom. This was a place that the receipt had a barcode that let you scan into the restroom. Again, who on this good green earth decided that this city should try to make it as difficult as possible to use a public restroom is beyond me. I entered the restroom and closed the door. I sat and got comfortable on the toilet. It was time for a psychic possession attack on Maggie. I started plugging my thumbs into my ears and targeting her in the Goose Mart by the lunch counter. That failed, so I was going to try again in her office. Fun fact number 12. A failed psychic possession attack is a valid way of ascertaining someone's location if I know they can only be in 2 locations. If it's possible for them to be in more than 2 locations, or if I don't have evidence of them being in either of those locations, it is not valid to simply fail psychic possession attacks until I find the room they're in. I woke up in Maggie's office, her phone up against my ear. "And I'm those quarter 4 numbers," the choppy voice said. "It's critical that they..." I said to the man. "Yeah, I'll get right on that." He continued to micromanage me from the toaster he was calling from while I continued replying with platitudes, as I'm sure Maggie was before me. I went onto the computer and started pulling up files. The security logs seemed to go back 30 days. I went in and found the folder for the day that I was there. I tried to open it, but there was an admin password needed for authentication. I closed my eyes and let Maggie's fingers move across the keys on their own. Fun fact number 13. I have no memories of the people I possess. However, their muscle memory is retained within their body. If the person I possess can juggle, I can also juggle while possessing them, without really understanding the mechanics of how to juggle. I checked the time and opened up the file from the day I possessed Ralph. 2 minutes had gone by since I ordered my coffee. I quickly screened through the countless files. It seemed to create one for every 20-minute interval. I finally, at the 4-minute mark since ordering my coffee, found the moment that Ralph entered the Goose Mart. Just to be safe, I deleted the interval before and after that moment, deleting the entire hour of footage that encompassed my entry all the way to the police's arrival. It should be like I was never there. With that complete, I put Maggie's thumbs into her ears, all while wrapping the cord of the office phone around her arm. I was hopeful that she was the type of person who might fall asleep during a completely inaudible call. However, unless she was really chronically online and into the alpha male content pipeline, she probably would have no way to connect her lapse of consciousness to a larger web of events. I returned to my own body. I exited the bathroom and heard my order number called out by the Tonic barista. I grabbed my coffee and exited the store with a victorious stride. Have fun investigating those security tapes, TF. Oh, I wish I could see the look on his face when he discovers what he's looking for has completely disappeared. I wonder if he'll go to the store in person, innocuously ask to see the tapes. All I would need to do at that point would be to get his face off the tapes he created by going in there, and I would have him dead to rights. I chuckled to myself as I made my way back to my apartment. I went in and opened up Chaos on my laptop to read the messages in Colin's channels. Word had spread that TF was closing in on the mind controller. I sipped my coffee. Those fools. Did they really think they could catch me? I read about how TF had apparently signaled he was going to confront the mind controller. I pulled my sandwich out of my bag, unwrapped it, and took a big bite. Do your worst, TF. Try and confront me. My phone rang. It was an unknown number. It looked to be the type of thing where somebody had spoofed a number as a part of a robocall. I debated just declining, but I guess I was curious what the latest and greatest scams were from these people. Click. Hey there, Eric, the modulated voice said. Or should I call you mind controller? My heart felt like it stopped in my chest. I'll be honest, that was a last-ditch effort there, hoping you were somehow listening into my conversation with Tommy. I wasn't sure I would be able to lure you back to that Goose Mart to confirm your identity. However, I knew if you were listening, You wouldn't pass up a chance to delete those tapes that would implicate you. Luckily, I have copies. I clenched my fist. You arrogant little monkey, I said. Why don't you stop being a coward and face me? There was a moment of silence. Why, that's exactly why I'm calling you, he said. I could have knocked, but I have a flair for the dramatic, much like yourself. Why don't you open up the door so we can finally meet face to face? Truly meet, that is. I turned to my door. With bated breath, I slowly stepped over. I could feel my palms sweating. My body was shaking. I managed to work up the courage to put my hand on the handle and slowly open the door. Wait, this is crazy. If this is for real, he just lost. I can possess him the second I see his face. I brought my other hand to my ear, ready to pull the other one up. Even if he had a gun drawn on me, there was no way he could shoot me faster than I could bring my hand to my ear. TF, your flair for the dramatic, as you put it, was going to be your downfall. I opened the door to see my rival face to face. I was about to pull my hand to my ear when my jaw dropped instead. I stared in shock at the person in my apartment hallway. I stammered, unable to even say the name. Hey, darling, Sasha said. Thank you for listening to this chapter of Fun Facts and Psychic Possession Attacks. If you enjoyed, please rate the podcast, give it a like on YouTube, and share with someone else who you think might also enjoy. You can stay up to date with FF&PPA by following us on social media. That'll be D2 Stories on just about any of the major platforms. Thanks for listening, and I hope to have you listen again next week.